All right, next up, a team you guys are very familiar with, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Last season, 91 points, fifth in the Metro, 19. A stunner.
Whoa!
The arm dog out of nowhere.
The new color commenter.
Yes.
The arm dog.
Color commenter.
Whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, I love it,
I'm
boys.
having a tough show.
Great seeing you, boys. Great seeing you. Yeah, got a couple things on the plate this year. I'm back in the show, boys. Back on the old bird. Flying first class, 5-star hotels, filet mignon. Let's go.
You don't even have to play.
So for those of you who don't know what you're talking about, can you explain what's going on with your job with the Penguins this year?
Yeah, so there was a big shakeup here with our regional rights of AT&T Sportsnet. It'll now be called Sportsnet Pittsburgh, as Nesson, who is ran by the Fenway Sports Group, came in and took it over. So it's all taken over pretty much in-house by the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've made some changes to the TV side. A lot of people getting switched around all over the place. And the Penguins have announced some people. Josh Getzoff will be the new play-by-play man on TV. And myself, Phil Bork, and Mike Rupp were announced as rotating color commenters for the Penguins this season, as well as doing a lot of stuff for in studio as well. So on the desk, doing intermissions.
How many games are you going to be doing, Army?
I'm not sure yet. I think we'll be up around maybe half once it's all said and done, and once it's put in there. So it's
so
kind of a lot.
They switched the radio play-by-play and mirrors from TV, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what they did. Yeah. And if you remember Whit back in the day, and Merles, you'll remember this too. You were there. You guys were up and around at that time when Staggy and I think Mike Lang made like a switcheroo as well from TV to radio to TV. So Mike Lang could then work inside the Penguins orb as their radio guy, doing every single game, including all the playoffs. Because Biz, as you know, of course, that's when you get hot in the playoffs, baby, on TNT and make that big playoff run. And the regional guys are done after the first round. So Mike Lang's
Biz
calls.
had some big runs for the Coyotes in the playoffs. As the radio
We went to the conference finals. How deep have you gone?
I went to the Cup final, I'm talking about when you were a broadcaster, not when you were a player being a DJ. But good call.
Hey,
so exciting times, boys. Exciting.
Do you get to pick what road trips you go on, or is that just delivered to you?
I would like to try to lean on them a little bit because, like, if they're going out west, like Western Canada, where I'm from, I would like to get out there. That'd be kind of cool. So we'll see where the chips fall and where I get to go. It wouldn't be bad also to do the California swing. I don't know if I have my choice on any of that. So a little bit of sun or a little bit of snow kind of in my neighborhood, but we'll see how it works out here with the new crew.
Are you gonna have to put the Just for Men's hair dye in Crosby's hair?
Oh, do you see the gray stripes on him?
Oh, buddy. Ooh, he's starting to look old. He's starting to turn.
Yeah, he looks good, but yeah, the gray is sneaking in on some of the boys. Yeah, there's no question. I think they posted a picture maybe of him like doing a modeling shot at NHL Media Day when I was there, and I saw
Salt
it on
and pepper.
Yeah, he had the salt and pepper going big time. So I got to give him my hair dye routine there to just
Please
for
don't.
men or whatever it is.
Please
just
don't
fix it. Well,
get the shoe polish in there.
Arm Dog, give us the vibe first few days of camp out in Pittsburgh. I mean, the Carlson deal, Riley Smith coming over. The first year Sid didn't make the playoffs.
What does Dubas's nuts taste like?
I saw him today. They had
Biz, from the last fucking 3 years.
Shut the fuck up. I ain't Team Dubas no more.
You tell me.
I ain't Dubas.
Dubas and the boys were up in the Eagles perch watching camp today. I was over there this morning and watching some of the guys. It looked pretty good, boys. I'm not going to lie. And I think, Mike Sullivan said this is probably the most competitive camp he's had since he's maybe been there. I think their team has kind of been picked for, several years. The cupboards have been thin, and, Dubas came in and did what he did in Toronto last year too, and just started, grabbing guys. They got a bunch of
on them.
They got a bunch of guys on PTO, which I think are quality guys, which makes it, a little bit more competitive. And then, signing guys to come in and, trade for guys and pick guys up. So, I don't know if his work is done even yet. We'll see. Cause I think, when you look at the depths of the Penguins, boys, that's where the damage was really done. Like, there's no question the top 6 guys had pretty good years last year.
Their bottom 6 were pathetic. They had no heart. They
There was
wouldn't
nothing
mix
there.
it up. You had Sidney Crosby going after guys to mix it up to get them involved in games.
They were the muscle. Sid and Gino and Tanger were the muscle of this team, and it just became vanilla, didn't it? It just was like a vanilla team to kind of watch. So I think they've kind of revived that a little bit. Obviously, Karlsson is like a huge boost, I think, to everybody when you get a guy of that caliber. But bringing in like Eller, they got Hinostroza, they've got Achari. They added
Nieto's fast.
Nieto.
Nieto can move.
Yeah, and then they've also, on top of that, because of those like foot soldier guys, you've now like upped your penalty kill too. So I think with the moves that they've done as well, they've hit on, yes, making your depth better, and in doing so, and getting the big fish in Karlsson, you've helped also a couple categories, your special teams, your PK and your power play, who were both middle of the pack last year. If I look at their team, I'm thinking that's got to improve single-handedly on its own with a lot of the guys that they got coming in and in the lineup. And, who knows where that puts them at the end of the year, but I think it puts them in the playoffs.
I think the one and most devastating loss for the Golden Knights was losing Riley Smith.
Yeah.
But they pick up him, and that's a type of guy that they needed to add to that lineup. Like, we use the term Swiss Army knife a lot, but he's a guy he's as reliable as they get up and down that
I
wing.
saw him schnizzle a little boom, boom from Gino in front of the net today at camp. Just a bang, bang, one-touch drive in the net. Like, that's the kind of guy he is, right? He gets the pucks. He hangs on to pucks. He gets to the front of the net. He's a high hockey IQ guy too. Like, he can make plays and get to spots, but he has like that grit too to his game that he can play kind of, a robust kind of style, which allows him to be very versatile, I think, too, with his game. So massive pickup. Look, they lose Zucker, who I thought had a pretty good year last year, moved on from him and went and got Riley Smith, who I think is, the kind of guy you need. He's got decent size, won the cup, and watch him today with Gino, and they look pretty darn good together in a scrimmage.
Arm Dog, in looking at the roster, right? Like, I think it's much improved. I think Lars Eller playing well. We've seen some struggles the past few years out of him. But then you also think back to when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, he was outrageous. So I don't know like what they're going to get out of him. That's a big kind of third line center role that if he has a good year can make a big difference. But with Gensel, when are they thinking he can be back? Like, how long are they going to have to be without him?
Well, by the sounds, he's skating already. I think Mike Sullivan said that yesterday at camp. He's skating. Most of the guys, there's some guys banged up a little bit right now, day to day, I guess, that are kind of just like little injuries. So he's a little bit more wait and see with his, just due to the fact. So what's the timing on that? I have no clue. Like, some are saying a week into the season. Does it last a couple weeks into the season till they get him back? No question. He's like probably the most non-talked about probably superstar player in the league. Like, the way he produces, the way he scores. Star. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. He's a star. No question. And an all-star. But you need that guy on the top line with
my
Crosby.
worry is,
you need that guy.
As Biz dogged the third and fourth line last year, rightfully so. No pushback. Achari, 100%. You bring him in, sandpaper, tough.
Yep.
But then you look, I'm looking at the lines here. Like, Jeff Carter's on the third line.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about him.
Matt Nieto, Rem Pitt, like, it's not like they kind of, in terms of sandpaper, they only really have Achari down there. It's still going to be not the grittiest, grindiest, Vegas type fourth and third line. That's the worry.
And it seemed like the speed on Carter is declining quite a bit. So is that a reason why they ended up moving him to the wing? Or
yeah, I think you can put him on wing. I think they did that a little bit last year, and I think just for that, just lugging up the middle for that many games, and I think he's a good fit at the wing. I think he can get up and down the wing as a big body guy, but he's also good on faceoffs, and they've got him killing some penalties too, so he can mix in there. But I think, looking at this, I think if Eller can, like you said, some tough years in Wash lately, but if Eller can bounce back in that third line position, I think that's where he'll slot. Probably with Drew O'Connor, who might get a good look, another big body guy that plays pretty good straight line hockey and can be tough to play against. They haven't had in Pittsburgh, guys, and as you know, watching them, they're like a opportunistic, quick strike, kind of offensive, defense to forward, straight up and get going and attack type of team. They haven't had like guys that can, wear you down, like hang on to pucks in the offensive zone, cycle, eat up their, the opponent's defensemen down there and wear them down a bit. I think Eller and O'Connor and some of these guys that they brought in have the ability to play that kind of game, which I don't think they've had through their lineup for a while. And it kind of just leaves games kind of, floundering. It's just floundering. It's been like, you put out the big boys, they get a couple chances, and then it's, these other guys that didn't really do anything. They didn't really provide like an identity on their line, where I think they've got more guys now. I'm not saying they're going to go and like punch your lights out, but I think they've got guys that play physical enough and a style of game enough that's a little bit more abrasive down in the bottom six.
Army, is there anybody from like the minors or from the draft? Do they have any sort of prospects, like a guy who's going to jump on and help this team that we haven't heard about?
Yeah, Chaco.
Chaco. Yeah, the bowling alley prospects will be ripping it up. Yeah, I don't know. They don't have that many guys, honestly. There is a guy that they brought in with, him. What's his name? Defenseman, Ryan Shea. He's a guy that they brought in. Is he from your neck of the woods too?
Did a great job the past few years playing for Dallas's AHL team. Never got a chance. Local kid, great guy. I would love to see him get an opportunity. I really would. Hopefully Mike Sullivan gives him a little bit of an extra look being a Boston guy. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you never know. But he can play, that kid.
Yeah, I saw him there today. He looked pretty slick. Like he just looks poised. He looks like
he's only 24.
I think he's 26.
Is he? Good call, Whit. Stay hot.
I think he's 26, and I know he's coming over from the Dallas system, and I believe played behind down there Harley. Did they have Harley down there for a while? So he wasn't getting like primo minutes, but I think he's a guy that played fairly well in the American League, and no one's really talking about him a little bit, but I think he came in on 1 year, one way, boys. And where's he going to slide? Like, what's that bottom pairing defense going to look like when you've got, Graves, Letang, you got Pedersen, Carlson, and then P.O. Joseph and Chad Ruhwedel. But then you've got all these guys that are still there too, like Ty Smith, Mark Friedman. There's quite a bit of a logjam in there. Will Butcher's here, I think, on here as well. So
at least that's a competition thing for those final two spots where you're not just like stuck with six guys. You got nothing else. At least they have guys, if they're not playing well, say Joseph and Ruhwedel aren't doing the job, they got some options at least this year. Yeah,
they've got options. They've got some depth, and I think that was just manufactured too, because like you said, Whit, like who's coming up? Who's going to play? I know Nylander came up a little bit last year for handful of games and provided a little bit. But, when you go and look at what they actually needed, they needed depth.
He's
guys.
A Kapanen 2.0.
Yeah, he's a speedster. He's a skill guy. But yeah,
than puppy shit.
Yeah, he played well last year when he was up, though, when given the opportunity. He really did.
How about Letang? Grinnell says he's washed up. What is he, a Costco? What'd you call him? A Costco brand?
Walmart.
I said he's a Walmart
did you say that?
I said he's a Walmart brand Erik Karlsson, and I don't think it's the craziest statement in the world.
Could you imagine getting called a Walmart?
I think they're
brand
different.
Anything?
Yeah, I think they're different. I think they're really different. Like, I don't know how it's going to be, because I think we saw Petrie come in, right? And there was so much ice time to be shared between those two, or so little. I think it kind of affected Tanger's game a little bit, just because he's used to, getting 25 minutes a night, where he had to kind of, they had to feel that one out a little bit, where I think these guys are such, like, I think Tanger plays really hard minutes. Like he battles out there. And if you can lend Karlsson obviously to those offensive moments, I think you'll get even more out of Tanger if they can manage that correctly. Obviously that'll be a tough one to manage those minutes and kind of how those guys are deployed. You have to think 101 point Erik Karlsson, who was like literally playing beer league today at camp. It looked hilarious, just how simple he hangs on to pucks, and he does stuff that like most guys normally wouldn't even try.
Did he have a chew in?
I didn't notice that. Or he didn't have a lip pillow rolling, but
the old Zinski.
He did.
He's above Zins, dude.
He was rolling out there.
Diesel.
He has like ice in his veins, boys. Hey, like
he goes right for the coal. Right for the coal in his lip.
He should make the power play. If the power play is not top 5 in the league, then they might not make playoffs, because you got to think that they're going to be like living on their power play.
Yeah, I think
they were 14th. They were 14th in the league last year.
Going to be lights out this year. He's got to have a year this year.
You got to make it.
Card.
You got to make it.
Hey, as much as Dubas is a turncoat, as much as he's in my shit house, he did a lot of good jobs with the moves and bringing over some guys to fill in some holes this offseason. And I think with Jari having a bounce back year, these guys, you don't think Sid's going to have these guys motivated? Why? Look how he stressed out he was in the offseason. He fucking went, half his hair went gray. He's ready to turn this thing around. He felt he's not missing playoffs back-to-back years. That ain't happening on his watch. I got the Pittsburgh Penguins making playoffs.
Yeah.
You already said they're in, Merles. What do you got on the Pens? In or not?
Yeah, I got Pittsburgh in. I got them on the 4th spot in the Metro wild card, 14th overall. Hot take: if things are not good first 2 months, the coach is going to be gone. I can see that happening. This is it. They're all in. That's a hot take. You heard it here first.
What do you think of that, Army?
Well, I just think that for me, I think with the people they brought in and the competitiveness of this camp, like, when you come in and it's just like the team's picked and, no one's fighting for anything and there's nothing on the line. Like, I just think this is a different feel to start the year. You got a new GM, the new staff is hired like on the backside of analytics team and all this stuff that Dubas is building out here too as well. It's just, I think there's just like a different vibe right now for everyone. And, I heard that. I think I might have saw something like a hot seat thing or something, Merles, to your point. I'd seen something about that. But I do think it's all in. I do think obviously it's all in. And we were talking a few years ago, last dance. So for these guys, I think it's important for them to get off to a really good start and, build that mojo off of what they're able to do. But I don't know if I can see that, Merles. I don't know. Like Sully's kind of,
I think new owner, new GM.
Yeah.
We just talked. There's no prospects. If you're just bought this team, you're like, oh my God, like we have to win this year. And it's worked in the past.
If he gets fired,
you're talking like you get paid by the team.
What should they? Well, I just can't see it. I mean, the guy's a pretty good coach. Like,
another team would probably fire their coach the next day if he got fired to hire him. So I actually don't disagree with Merles because of the new GM. It kind of always wants his own guy. If they get off to a slow start, you never know. I got him making playoffs. When Ray Sherrill gave me that contract back in the day, Buffet, and I was ever told there'd be a podcast that I'm a part of, I would say I'd have to forever take them to make the playoffs. I'm not super confident because I do think there's a lot of question marks there. One of them being Jari being able to stay healthy, but I got him getting in. And
that's the big topic.
Yeah, because he every year he's hurt, but when he plays, he's great. So depending on his health, I got him making it. I don't know if they'll get a top 3 spot in that division, but I do have him getting in.
I think they're the biggest wild card team, obviously, in the division. Like, we know, like, if you want to look at division top to bottom, like, this is the Canes kind of, I think it's, seems like it's just their division. Like, they've been doing it for so long. Like, they're at that point as well. We know what the Devils are looking like and where they're trending. They're right there. You go to the next tier. Where's it? The Rangers. And then after that, what do you got? It's going to be the Penguins.
I feel like the division is the Devils and Carolina. And then after that, you got like Rangers, Pittsburgh, sort of Islanders. And then obviously Columbus and Philly
and Wash.
I got
Wash is there.
I got Wash making playoffs this year, boys.
You do?
What are you talking about? Why not? They had $40 million on the IR to start the year. They had no John Carlson most of the time, which power play's what feeds them. They got Kemper, who have an off year where it was his 3rd team in 3 years. I think he's having a bounce back.
Yeah, you got your number 1 center who's been asking to get traded for like 2 years now.
Doesn't matter. Just give him a bag of cocaine.
Biz
he'll be good to go.
Biz is talking like a guy
special.
That's getting paid by the Caps.
I ain't. They're chasing the goal record, but I think that they're going to have a bounce back year, boys. RA, what do you think about my comments?
As far as the playoffs, we just talked about 17
you got
different
Pittsburgh
things.
getting in, yes or no?
No, I don't have Pittsburgh getting in. No.
Wow.
They're the oldest team in the league. 31.1 is the oldest average age. That's Pittsburgh. Last year was the first time since Sid's rookie year they weren't in the playoffs. I think that's going to happen 2 years in a row. I just think they're a little bit older, a little bit slower, and I don't see them getting in. I know their fans hate me. They'll probably hate me a little bit more. We got to get our producers' take. G, what do you have for the Penguins going on here?
Playoff team, not a cup team. Pretty simple. They just don't have the makings. And I agree with everything Merle said.
All right. Arm Dog, we appreciate this in-depth analysis by you. I can't wait. Now every time the Penguins are on and you're working, I'm going to tune into their feed and look forward to seeing you, buddy.
Hit me up. Text me when I'm working. I love it. I love hearing from the boys. And I stopped by practice today, boys, or camp, whatever you want to call it. And then I wheeled over to the USHL Fall Fest that's on right now here in Pittsburgh, and I had to work the clock for the Green Bay Gamblers against the Sioux City Musketeers in an OT victory here to start the season off for the USHL. So lots of hockey action here in Pittsburgh. It's been pretty awesome, and I was scrambling working a clock. You guys ever done that? It was insane. Yeah, keeping track of shots, working the clock, Merles. It's stressful.
That was my summer job. My dad ran high school leagues. I would always keep the clock, but I don't know. Am I still owned by Green Bay Gamblers? They drafted me to the USHL.
Oh, today they won in overtime today. And if you want to talk about that, big Swedish kid named Larson from Hallsby, Sweden. I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is, Merles? Hallsby, Sweden scored the overtime winning goal. I made a great call over the system. Overtime winner by what did I say? Larson in overtime.
Practicing.
I gave her that call.
The old RJ overtime. Rest in peace,
buddy.
All right, boys, keep kicking butt.